Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join His mission. This podcast is powered by Within Reach Global. Subscribe, watch, and listen on YouTube today. Visit missionspulse.com.
Welcome back to Missions Pulse, where we encourage you to know God's heart and join His mission. I'm so happy this podcast is up on the air again. You can share it with a friend, subscribe. And I lost my space for a podcast studio here as we moved into an outreach center across the street from Chiang Mai University here in Thailand. 50,000 college students, ministries growing. But I'm so excited that we get to do this again, and also excited that I can introduce you to my buddy, Josh Shively. Good to have you here, bro.
Hey, David. How's it going?
Good, man.
Yeah.
You have this incredible story. I mean, why don't you walk me back in time here? This was just a couple of years ago when you came on a short-term team, and actually it goes a little farther back than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I think our story, not that it's special or anything like that, but I mean, ultimately you hear a lot of like how people are called to the mission field. I mean, the truth is, like, my senior quote, 20 plus years ago when I graduated high school was, to become all things to all men so that some might be saved. I was voted most likely to become a missionary in my senior year, things like that. And so, like, ultimately, like, I think God implanted on me, that I was going to be a missionary. I'd done a couple short-term trips when I was younger to England, to Ukraine, little things like that. And then life kind of took off, got married, got a full-time job with the county. I was an equipment operator, but God always had ministry in our life. And so my wife and I, we've been a part of a couple of church plants, a replant, which honestly, I wouldn't curse my worst enemy with the church replant. It's like, that's a whole nother story. And then ultimately found ourselves in full-time ministry in Central Coast of California in Monterey. And that's where I met you. Our church there, Calvary Monterey, had been supporting Within Reach Global and you specifically for 20 plus years, really, right? And so I'd seen you a couple times as you came on like our mission week, or you came and spoke. And then it was somewhere in 2022, you came to Calvary Monterey, and I talked to you and Jacob Smith on the patio. And I was just kind of random, like, hey, do you want to come talk to our middle schoolers this Sunday? And you were all about it. You came up and you lit a fire. Like, those middle schoolers, especially those 8th graders, were so intrigued with Thailand and so intrigued with your stories. And now I've heard those stories multiple times, right? You're like, is that a brand of soap, story and those things,
Could you tell the story and pretend like you're me if you went to a church?
I'm probably close to it. I butcher the Chinese. I could pretend and no one would probably know unless there's a Chinese speaking person. They'd come up to me after and be like, what did you say? But yeah, you lit the fire under those 8th graders. And so that next summer, July of 2023, we planned a mission trip. My wife and I brought 25 high schoolers from Central Coast of California and 10 adults. So it was 35 of us. I still think it was your biggest team so far.
I remember that team. And we love big teams.
It was great.
To me, it was big-ish. It was bigger than we usually host.
Yeah.
But I love the energy of having a bunch of young people and some good leadership.
It was something else. Yeah, it was an amazing trip. And but ultimately, my wife and I came leading these 25 high schoolers, and then we brought our 2 teenagers. So Ellie was almost 16 at the time. Our son Seth turned 14 here in that July. And I'd done many short-term mission trips with high schoolers, many work projects, a lot of Mexico mission trips, Central South America. And for some reason, I got off the plane here in Chiang Mai, and it felt like home. I'll never forget the Songtao ride from the airport to Mountain View guest house, right? The hotel we were staying in. And I was like, why does this feel like home? Why does this feel so different? Little did I know, my wife felt the same way. And so we went through the 10, 12 days we were here. We broke into different teams. Our daughter went off with a separate team. So we didn't see her for 4 or 5 days as she was up in Penang with John Mack and that team. And my wife and I would get little WhatsApp videos from my leaders of her singing and dancing and doing missions work and catching frogs and eating them and that kind of stuff, And I would just like cry because my daughter was like, I could see the joy that she was having and serving. And then my son was adjusting, especially once we got to the villages. He's quiet. He's a deep soul, He's kind of a deep well. And the Ajahns out there, especially Ajahn Sambun, just like took him under his wing and like I remember looking over and seeing Seth on the back of a motorcycle as like him and Ajahn Mai, Pastor Mai, goes taking off somewhere. And it's like, okay, like I'm okay with this. I don't know why, but I'm comfortable with this, you know?
This is atypical of most people, especially parents who let their kids go on a trip.
Yeah.
I remember you showing me a couple of those videos of Ellie.
Yeah.
And then I had an opportunity to even, me and Seth shared a room in this nice place. Everybody, the whole team, we sent them off into little huts, stilted huts, and they're off, off by themselves. And we got this super nice house.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, we're living it up over here.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. You and Seth got that time to bond.
That's right. Yeah.
Just kind of hang out. And yeah, that's right. You were leading our team, my wife and I's. And so I got a lot of time to talk with you and ask you questions and just kind of dig a little deeper. Like, what is the mission here? What are we doing? What would you have us do? I think it was maybe our last day after we went and planted rice. Remember that random,
that's right.
We just pulled over and they invited us to plant rice, which was totally on my wife's bucket list to be in a rice field in Asia. Right. And I asked you, I said, okay, if the Shiveleys moved to Thailand, what would we do? And you very quickly were like, oh, internship. Right. This is, I see the way you're running 25 high schoolers. Most of my team leaders were young adults. And so in essence, you were just like internship. Like, this is what you guys could totally do here.
I'm glad I answered correctly, because usually I don't. People send you off to the Burmese border.
Yeah, no, it hit, because I mean, ultimately, and God answered a couple of the fleeces my wife laid out, and those are a little bit longer story, but like God really imprinted on my wife and I, like, this is a possibility. Like, this is somewhere I want you. Of course, we were finishing the trip. I had 25 high schoolers to get back to the other side of the world and home, safe home, in their little beds. But God very quickly after we got home confirmed to me that I wasn't moving my family to Thailand. He was. And believe me, like I had jet lag. It was the second night after getting home, and I was up at 2 a.m. and I was literally on Google, how to move a family of 4 to Thailand, right? Like, what are the steps? And God very clearly answered, you're not moving your family to Thailand. I am.
Wow.
And then just kind of door after door, as I laid it before, like, one of my mentors, or a couple of them, they were like, this is it. Like, I really feel like God is opening the door for you. One of the things was finances. We were 100% funded within 3 months of putting out the word.
Oh, yeah. I remember how fast that was. It's also atypical of your story.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of career opportunities for you to serve at Within Reach Global. Open positions include web developer, social media manager, graphic designer, short-term missions director, and more. We want to help you discover your unique God-given calling to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. Help give gospel access to people who have never heard of Jesus before. Go to withinreachglobal.org and click go.
I've seen so many people come over the last 28 years, and many people have had that same conversation. I remember exactly where that one tree was. I think it was by the river near when we were planting rice when you first asked me that. And I've had many conversations. And so for me, I try to temper my response, oh, you can get here, but you probably won't make it. Yeah. And why is it that? What was it that I know God said He's sending you there? Yeah. But how is it that you were able to bring a family of 4 across the world? Yeah,
well, I mean, first off, I just think God, He had a plan, right? And it's funny, in the last almost 3 years of being here, I've had multiple of those same conversations, right? We do these short-term teams. There's always at least one on the team that, right off the bat is like, I feel like God's calling me, but, right? And there's always this but.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons we were able to do it, because we literally, from landing after our short-term team on August 1st to moving here, we landed again January 28th, 2024, 6 months, right? From landing to moving here.
That was the fastest turnaround I have ever seen at Within Reach Global.
Oh, it still feels like a whirlwind. I can't believe it. But ultimately, our life was prepped for it, right? We had no debt, right? We lived... I was full-time at Calvary Monterey. My wife coached at a small Christian school. She did some catering. So we were living in Central California on the coast on a youth pastor salary. So we lived very humbly, right? We put away what we could into retirement, kids' college fund, that kind of stuff. But we lived very much in a place where we had no debt. We drove old cars. And so we were just perpetually in this place of God, whatever you want to do with us, we're ready. We rented a house. Like we really had nothing tying us down except the obligation to the ministry that we were doing. And we loved our youth ministry. We ran youth ministry at Calvary Monterey for 6.5 years. And it was thriving. It was growing. We had a discipleship program. Most of our team were the young adults. So basically our church's young adult ministry was the youth group. We had connection and community. And so that was what was holding us there. But then as soon as God said, this door's closing and I'm opening this one, we could move. Yeah. And a lot of times when those men or women come to me on those short-term teams and they're like, I feel like God's calling me to missions. One of my first questions is, are you in a place in life where you could do that? Do you have any debt? Like, do you have, and not that those things are, God can't work through those things, but I think so many people glamorize missions and put it kind of on this, like, I'm ready for the next step. But see, the thing is, until you're in a place that God can move you, like, will he move you, in a sense? And
well, it sounds to me like what you're describing too is like that Eugene Peterson idea of a long obedience in the same direction.
Absolutely.
Where you're allowing God to let your steps fall where they may. You don't know the next step, but at least you're being prepared. You're in a season of preparedness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I would just totally confirm that and agree that we were just in that place where God could really move us and do whatever he wanted with us. And so where Thailand was not on the docket, right? Like I had never thought Thailand. I mean, I was bringing a youth group here. I was just expecting this amazing short-term mission trip that would ignite our youth group and show them what God is doing in the 1040 and in northern Thailand. I had no expectation that God was going to move my family.
Yeah. And this is probably a good spot to shout out to Calvary Chapel Monterey because they sent one of their top quality guys. Sure. I mean, I know you were leading an organization, a youth group that was dynamic. I think it was the biggest youth group in the entire region, in Monterey area. Uh-huh. And I mean, they allowed you to go and then sent you off with a blessing. Yeah. And we were the benefactors in many ways that you are here with us today.
Yeah, it was tough. It was. And Nate Holder's the pastor there, definitely kind of rubbed that in a little bit here and there. Like, why are you leaving? And even though he knew, it was confirmed in him that this is the right step. But it's, I don't know, God, when God opens that door, you'll know, like this is confirmed. You and your wife will know, your children. Like we moved 2 teenagers, right? Our daughter, so she turned 16 in December. We moved in January. And my wife and I actually, before the trip here, never thought we'd move our kids while they're teens. We were like, we'll hold fast. We'll be obedient in Monterey. We'll get our kids through high school, and then we'll see what God has for us, right? Like church planning was kind of on the next docket. We thought we'd go plant a church, that kind of thing. And we were looking at places like Northern Ireland. It's just like...
Wow, you went from Northern Ireland to Thailand.
I know. It's Northern Thailand. I don't know.
There you go.
There's some similarities.
Bonnie Wilati.
Yeah. No similarities at all. I don't think so. There's no ocean. This isn't, so... but ultimately, I don't know, it's like God he confirmed it. He confirmed it with my wife and I, he confirmed it with my kids through our mentors, through the church we were serving at. And then once we put out the word, the funds that came in, and I do think that's credited to, at that point, 18 years of good ministry behind us, church plants. I mean, we have people supporting us that Eric and I went to youth group with, back in high school. Every church plant that we're a part of, there's people from those church plants that are supporting us right now. And so, that's 18 plus years of just solid theology, of good ministry, just a wake behind us. That's where we've served people well and we've served the Lord well in those things. And so I just see where that ministry credited to us gaining the support so quick here.
Yeah.
And so ultimately I would tell anybody that's feeling the itch for missions, like first take a trip out here. Come see, can you handle the heat? And don't come during like the nice fall, cool season where there's no mosquitoes.
Come right now.
Yeah. Come in April.
Where it's 106 degrees. Yeah. We have smoke season. It's not the pretty portrait of Thailand that most people know, the beaches and the food.
It's not. Yeah. And after the smoke leaves, the mosquitoes come. So come during that time, make sure your stomach can handle the food. I still, if I have something spicy for lunch, like I better be close to a toilet around dinner time. Like it's, it's still like my body's still adjusting, but hey, I'm wearing pants today. Right. And I wore board shorts the first year and a half. So, it's, you get adjusted to it.
It's been 28 years since I've been on the missionary field, on the mission field. And, food is still a sensitive thing for me, man.
Yeah.
You'd think that I've gained like all these awesome abs that can take over whatever I eat, but no, that's not the case with my story.
No, it's not. Erica hasn't posted the video yet, but I got a new snack time video where I ate live ants last week when we were in Lampoon, because it's ant season. And so they gather the larvae and they sell it, and I guess Thais really like it in their creamy omelets they make. Is the Thai,
I've seen that.
The ant larvae.
Yeah, it's like a little pepper on top, but not pepper.
Yeah, exactly. But she had a bucket of the ants too, and they're like these fuzzy winged ants. Ooh. And of course, the Ajans up there, the pastors, were like mowing it. And as soon as I saw that, you heard me in the back of the video just go, no, because I know they're going to challenge me to eat it, and I'm going to have to, right? It's
you did this to yourself. You've been doing these snack. How did this start? You go out to a village and you're eating the craziest stuff. Yeah. I've seen dancing or jumping shrimp. I can't remember what they call it.
Dancing shrimp. Dancing shrimp,
where they're literally live, still got some spice and soy sauce around them, but they're jumping. What other crazy stuff have you had?
Of course, like durian,
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, durian's not bad when it's the right durian, lap, right? Like lap in the mountains. Yeah. They eat it raw most. They like it raw. So I've had lap, pork, beef, and squirrel, and I've had all three of them raw also. So the squirrel messed me up.
Joe Rogan doesn't have anything on you, bro.
The squirrel is weird, man. Like, and we all deworm here, right?
That's right.
The Thais deworm.
Months.
Yeah, they deworm here. The Thais do. So yeah, the spider, the golden orb spider, fried was, and it's not like fried like you think like battered. It's like they take these golden orb spiders and they literally just throw it in oil and then pull it out, and like you're eating this mushy, crunchy, curled up spider, right? Like that was the first like real snack time, So I think it was the youth pastor back home that took my spot. Him and I are good friends, Austin Kava, and he does these like snack time, but like weird potato chips and things like that. The kids will bring them weird stuff. Yeah. And Erica's like, you got to show them up. Like we got way more than weird potato. They got weird potato chips here, but way more. So I think that's where it started. Was Erica, my wife, was just like, let's show them up back home. And
Austin, you know what you're getting for Christmas from Thailand.
Well, and he keeps pushing their trip back. Like they were supposed to come last year. They're supposed to come this year, but then they got pregnant again. So I'm waiting for him to come, and I'm gonna have some stuff stockpiled for him for sure.
Some real snack time.
I think I made him eat bugs when we did our furlough last year. Actually, I did bring bugs to him, but they were grubs. The fried grubs. Yeah. That's
the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Cake.
It tastes like French fries, basically.
So what was it? Okay, you move your whole family here. You said you feel right at home. It's been 3 years. Mm-hmm. You seem like you're thriving in what God has led you into. You're leading the internship. Mm-hmm. You're leading short-term missions. We're seeing 150 to 170 people a year, individuals come on short-term mission trips. You're a pivotal part and playing a huge role in all of those things, which I love. Yeah. And why is it that you've been able to thrive in this new season?
I'm glad it seems like I'm thriving. I'm glad I'm putting that off.
You're projecting that you're thriving. Are you not?
No, we are. As a family, we are. I couldn't have guessed, and this is like the obedience to God, right? I everything that we've touched, everything that we've done, every call that God has had us move from outside of our comfort zone, deeper into faith, deeper into serving the kingdom, right? Everything we've touched, God has there's been fruit with it. Now that's been easy, right? Like Jesus says, take my yoke upon you, or take my yoke, right? My burden is light, right? It's still the symbolism of work. It's still a yoke. It's still burden. It's still work, Yeah. And so we know that in ministry and in the mission field, it's still work. But when you are obedient to God and you say yes, and you're willing to do that work, the fruit that comes from it is far beyond anything we can imagine, anything that we can even think of,
And to be sure, there's still those days where you're like, what have I done with my life?
Yeah.
I do that regularly.
Still,
Yeah. I don't know. I have known nothing else in my life except full-time missionary work overseas. When I was 18 years old, I moved to China. Spent 15 years there, 13 years here. And then, random days I still wake up and think, with all my skill sets or my ability to write or something, I could have done something different or better with my life. And I don't know why those thoughts come, but I still have those lurking, creeping thoughts, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Then, you gain some clarity over a few minutes, and there's nothing else I know better how to do. Plus, there's so many different hills people are willing to die on. People will choose all kinds of things to die on. And mine, I've selected and just can't be budged. It's going to be Matthew 24:14, unreached people fulfilling the Great Commission, seeing Jesus return, and not get caught up with all the other stuff.
No,
Although I'm on X, so I'm a culture junkie too, and I like it.
I'm not even on X, man. I can't do that. That's like vicious.
A lack of gospel access is the greatest injustice known to humankind. We're looking for monthly donors who will help us combat gospel poverty by funding our locally led missions movements. When you give to Within Reach Global, you give gospel access to people who have never heard of Jesus before. Set up your monthly donation today at withinreachglobal.org/donate.
Yeah, I have those days. I do, where my mind goes back to, the county job I had, the house that we bought. It's like our life could have been so different, right? Like we were living in a town where the house we bought, my kids would have gone to the same elementary and middle school that I went to, the same high school, right? Like played on the same little league field that I played on. I had this career job where I would be a foreman at this point with my own truck, wearing a white shirt, never touching a shovel again if I wanted to, right? Like our life would have been so different.
And there's some sort of nostalgia in that.
Yeah, it's weird,
a partial regret maybe, and some nostalgia, and you look at what could have been.
Sure. Yeah. It's easy to go there.
But I think so many people have this story, and it's okay. Most people will stay where they're planted or live in the same city where they were born and stay there all their life, occasional trip around the world, see Europe or something. And I think that's okay. Everyone has different roles. But then there is this call that when Jesus empowers us with the Holy Spirit, then we're sent from Jerusalem to Judea, Samaria, and people often don't even think twice about the ends of the earth. There's a frustration sometimes in me, and I've tempered it. You first come home from the mission field, and I'm talking about all these experiences we've had. I was dining with former headhunters, and I'm, getting caught with smuggling Bibles. Why aren't you doing something bigger for God? And so there was a delusion, a frustration. I didn't like the passivity towards the Great Commission. But over the years, I've realized there are different roles in the Great Commission.
Sure.
But we're still called to challenge people into what God has uniquely gifted them for. Go, send, or disobey, some people might say.
Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with that. And I think a lot of people in the Western church would struggle with that. I know for us as a family, the reason we're thriving now is because of the little yeses. Because when God said, sell your home and move to this town and be a part of this church plant, we said, okay, we did it. And then when God said, quit the county job and move 3 hours south to Santa Cruz, California, which is like Bohemian Central, man, like it's a nutso place to do ministry, we said yes. And then when God said move to Calvary Monterey and become a full-time pastor, we said yes. And then so when God said move to Thailand, every one of those steps was a yes to God, and he was there before. He was there with us in the current place. He was there and met us there where we moved, and was there with us as we thrived and as we prospered and as we saw fruit. So then the move to Thailand was just a matter of my wife and I confirming, is this really God? And then as he confirmed, as he answered fleeces that we laid out before him, it was so easy. Yeah. And so my kids have been with us every step of the way. They've been on every mission trip but one throughout. Now this August will be 20 years of ministry. They have been part of all the church plants. I got many videos and pictures of me teaching a Bible study, holding Seth. They were there on every one of them. Ellie's first steps were on a mission trip.
To where?
Actually the Tenderloins of San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the inner city of San Francisco. Yeah. And so
whereas for most people, it would have been a huge hurdle. God says, move to Thailand. And they're like, what? It's a blast out of the blue. Might have been out of the blue for you too.
Yeah.
But the multiple succession of yeses set you up to respond accordingly.
Yeah. And so I would just tell anybody, you know, like, again, that conversation, I feel like God's calling me. It's like, well, are you saying yes in the place you're at, right? Is your life in that place, you know, where you are thriving right now, where if God doesn't say move, but you are still in a place of complete obedience to him, to where if he does say move, you can say yes. And most of the time that answer is, well, I do have this debt, or, you know, I got to pay off this car, or I have these obligations, you know, kind of a thing. And we were just in that, we had said yes so many times to God that moving to Thailand was a big yes, but not too big for God. And we knew that, because if he's moving us, he's got us. And you know, I mean, it costs quite a bit of money to move a family of 4 to the other side of the world.
And not only money, emotional
Oh,
stress, physical,
absolutely.
spiritual. I think, like you said a minute ago, there is some sort of distant, exotic allure that people think about Thailand or another foreign country and think, oh, that would be so incredible. And they elevate the missionary, you know, status above other roles in the church. I like a statement, I think it's by C.S. Lewis, although C.T. Studd is often attributed with this phrase. He said, the light that shines the farthest shines brightest at home. And most people think, wow, wouldn't it be so amazing to go shine over there where there's no lights in the unreached world, but they're not used to or not taking active steps to be evangelistic or disciple people or share their faith right at home.
Yeah.
The light that shines the farthest shines brightest at home.
Absolutely. And you have to trust God, right? Like us moving here, the ministry has been so much fun, right? Like you said, we started out with the internship for the first year. Year 2, we took over short-term teams, and now here we are starting year 3, and we're now supporting and helping run this village outreach. And we're going to be, you know, starting a discipleship school in June. You know, we're making connections with like world race teams and YWAM and things like that to grow the short-term team and the evangelism we do here. But ultimately, like, I could not have quantified like how much my family needed this. The connection I have with my wife. We work hand in hand now. She's not just the pastor's wife anymore, you know?
I love that about you guys. Lauren, because Lauren and I share this as well.
Yeah.
There are so many people who, you know, the man is the missionary and the wife is the stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And each one has their own role, and different families operate differently. But there's some sort of attraction about how you guys do this. I mean, you're a little bit codependent on Erica. I'm not going to lie.
I agree. She is the boss. I would let her. And I spent so many years being the pastor. I will gladly let her lead. Like, I have no problem with that at all, and supporting her. It's almost like she has budded, like a, I don't know, this is cringy, but a bros, like budding here, like just seeing where so many of her gifts had to be kind of like under mine because I was the pastor, right? Yeah. And here it's just like, no, you, like, what visions do you have? What wow before the what, you know, in a sense. And it's been so cool to watch her just grow and step into these things, her strengths, and help her walk through like some of her struggles and like just, you know, even insecurities and things like that. Because ultimately I've kind of walked through those being in full-time ministry, and overcome them and trusted the Lord through those insecurities and those weaknesses. So now I get to support her as she's kind of walking through that. There's like moments we're talking, we take a walk every morning, and there's moments where she's like talking about a struggle she's having, and whether it's emotional or spiritual. And I'll remember a time when like, oh, I remember walking through that in ministry and having that same struggle. And so I get to really like kind of coach her and walk through this with her.
Because she's going through it in a dynamic way,
Absolutely.
being an integral part of the ministry. I have to say, then I probably get emotional because I'm a crybaby sometimes,
it's okay.
but I'm so blessed to see you guys moving into this role and pushing things forward in a way that I could have never. I remember a time when it was just me and Lorna, and we would do everything.
Yeah.
We would be at the airport, pick up the team, get the hostel, you know, try to change the money.
That's a lot.
Every single aspect of a short-term trip we would have to do. And it was fun and it was okay. It was exhausting.
Yeah. Just the both of you. Yeah.
Yeah. But now seeing you and just taking it, dreaming beyond my dreams and finding that within Reach Global and this ministry is not my little thing. It's this bigger picture that other people are, you know, inputting themselves into, and God is using you to extend it. I'm just so proud of seeing how you guys are thriving as a family.
And we're blessed, man. I mean, I wouldn't change this, honestly. Like, I don't know if I could ever go back to being like a 9-to-5 pastor. Not that pastor's 9-to-5, but you know what I mean? Like full-time ministry, the structure of a church, the Western mindset of church, that kind of stuff. And you
definitely don't seem like the structure kind of guy.
No, I struggled with it. I did. I mean, yeah, Calvary Monterey very quickly deemed me the undomesticated pastor when I first came on.
And you loved that title, didn't you?
Yeah, there were times that like I was referred to as the oxen in Proverbs, right? Like where there's no ox, the trough is clean, but where there is an ox, much work is done. I'm not afraid. Either Eric or I, we're kind of pot disturbers a bit. You know, we don't mind stirring the pot a bit and pushing back and talking through things and working through things. And so this fits us really well.
Yeah, that's why you've been such a thorn in my side, I see.
Yeah, is that what it is?
I'm just totally joking.
I think it's more Jacob, and then like he buffers it a bit. So
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But there is this kind of role as the missionary life calls for some sort of deviance.
It does.
There is a righteous deviant kind of mindset that you need to go against the flow and this current that's going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You try to be respectful of local culture,
Absolutely.
your host culture. You try to do things, that they tell you to do, and perspectives on the world Christian movement.
Yeah.
But in the end, the gospel is so radically antithetical to the ways of the world that we have to go against the flow oftentimes.
Yeah.
And it's highlighted, I think, cross-culturally.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting because you're doing this, and so you are pushing the bounds, right? And Thailand is a relatively safe country, right? Like it's, it has freedom of religion. I'm not worried about someone knocking our door or taking away our foundation here. I mean, the visa work is all part of it. I've heard some missionaries say that's persecution. I don't see the visa work as persecution. I see it as like actually the Thai government is taking care of the Thai people, making sure who's supposed to be here is doing what they say they're doing, which I respect, honestly. I think a lot of countries should do that. So
I know you want to name a country.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this won't be posted to X, so you won't see it anyway.
It's all good. But then, I having my teenagers, right? And the time that being here, I couldn't again quantify what moving here has done for them, right? Like, so we decided not to do like an international school. So both our kids are doing homeschool. They're both in high school. Our daughter's graduated now. And so it was all like online kind of college prep type schooling. Our son is finishing up his junior year, but I get the time with them here. I get to pour into them. They come onto the mission field with us. They go into the villages. I mean, our daughter Ellie, she's fluent in Thai. She's up in Umgoi today, giving some pigs to a relative of one of our pastors. It's like, the Lord has just so grabbed her and shown her another way that he works and moves outside of the church world she was raised in, My son, in all honesty, he's like, I can't wait to get back. He's 16. He wants to go work. He's doing an apprenticeship this summer back home with a plumber. He wants to get into the trades, that kind of thing. But just the time that I've gotten with him has been so, I don't know. I just don't, if I was working the church job, the hours I was as a pastor, I don't think I would have had this amount of time and intentionality with either of them.
So can I just talk about this? And I don't like that missions polls has to be this very, racy conversations, bashing the church. That's not at all what I want to do.
Yeah.
But why is it that it feels like you have less time while you're full-time in ministry, you have less time with your family or less time with human on human interaction, people on people interaction in the Western structure of the church compared to, say, on the mission field? And not every organization has this wide open lane, that we're kind of operating in here. But why does that bother you sometimes?
Oh yeah, it does. In all honesty, when we moved here in 2023, I didn't realize 2024. I didn't realize how burned out I was. Like we got here within like a week. We had moved into our rental after the Airbnb, all that, like just trying to adjust, like couldn't believe how cheap coffee was here, all that fun stuff you do when you first move here. But very quickly I realized like I'm burned out. Like I am like after 6.5 years straight of ministry, being the only youth pastor in Monterey that stuck it out through COVID. I was the only youth pastor that was there pre-COVID and after, in all of Monterey. city kind of area. Our youth group exploded because of that, because we were the only youth group happening, and it went from a very homeschool church kid youth group to a very broad, kids were just coming because parents wanted to get them out of the house, and so we went from a very church oriented youth group to kids that were struggling with identity and sexual identity and gender and suicidal stuff. I mean, it was like, we literally had Christian parents coming to us going, why are you letting these kids into youth group? And it's like, well, why not? These kids need to know about Jesus too. And ultimately, I just think I was burned out. And I think that is because the Western structure of church, and I don't think this is a bash. I think this is, they would admit, is we've created something of a system where it could be your first time to church. You walk in those doors, right, through the foyer, the greeters, you get a little cup of coffee and donut. And if
I can envision it right now.
Yeah, oh, totally. And you walk in and all the seats are facing forward. You have a stage. So right there, you're preconditioned. I just come, I sit, I'm entertained by the worship, right? Maybe I have an encounter with God. Maybe I have a feeling about it. It depends what worship set they're playing that day and how it hits my feelings or whatever I'm got going through that week. And then the man gets up there and he talks to me and he encourages me. Maybe he challenges me if he's a good pastor, right? Teaches me something, right? And I walk out feeling good about it. And then I go back to my normal week. And that's the rhythm, right? There's very little discipleship happening. Maybe 10% of that congregation then goes to small groups or home groups or something like that.
But isn't that discipleship? Or you're hinting at something a little bit more when you say discipleship?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's fellowship. I think there can be some mentorship in there. And don't get me wrong, mentorship and discipleship can be one. And I believe a lot of the way that I disciple, my wife disciples, is very mentorship oriented also. But I think there's a lot missing from the system that we've created in the Western church, right? Many churches are more like a sports club. You got the weightlifters, you got the Pilates people, you got the yoga people, you got the treadmills, and you go hang out with the people that kind of fit your culture, right? At a gym or at, a sports club. And church isn't much different. You got your group of friends, maybe they're in the same life group as you, and that's your community, and that's just kind of who you hang out with and talk with. And even as a pastor within that church, and Calvary Monterey isn't huge, right? It's maybe 2,000 people if everybody showed up, you can get lost in that. And you can get lost. And I found myself dreading the patio after church, because that's when people come up to you and talk to you and ask you questions and complain about the sermon or how loud the music was, or that one person that really wants to be involved in youth ministry and you're pushing off because you're just like, that person cannot be involved with youth ministry.
Yeah, at least without a police report.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just found myself just burnt out on people, burnt out on the system where there just wasn't a lot of growth. People, they know there's something missing in their walk, but because they're just like being told that this is the system, you show up, you sit down, you listen, you leave, right?
I'm just playing devil's advocate because
okay,
I'm totally with you on this as well. But it sounds like you're describing discipleship as one thing and you're hinting towards it. But I don't think a lot of people, because they're in that system, they think this is discipleship. You just mentioned fellowship. I got encouraged. I'm hanging out with friends. How is that different from the discipleship that you're experiencing either here or that you've had in your mind or experienced in your past? Then?
Yeah, that's good. Well, one of the ways is I think, from my church background, I'm getting to, in a way, disciple these pastors, right? And most of these pastors are older than me, right, in Lampoon. But because of really close to 20 years of healthy ministry that my wife and I have done, there's certain areas we can speak into their lives. And so it's living with them. It's spending time with them. I mean, we went to a funeral 2 weeks ago from a member at the church. We've been to weddings. We eat with them, we sit, we live with them. And now we're being given the opportunity to disciple their new believers, right? Starting in June. And that will look like a class twice a month where we go, we eat dinner with them. There's going to be a teaching. I'm actually not teaching. Our Corinne members of WRG, Widget and Poppy and Ping will be teaching the messages or the teachings. And then ultimately the challenges, the homework will all be given by them. And then Widget and Poppy will be going up there every week, right? In between the classes, going to the new villages, spending time with them, gathering the class to go to the villages with them, teaching them how to evangelize and disciple these new villages that there are no Christians, And so what we're trying to create is just this culture of like, the mindset isn't just go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays and maybe home fellowship once a week, right? But the mindset is, no, this is the kingdom work. This is every single day. This is your calling as a Christian.
Gospel Privilege provides the keys you need to unlock your full potential as an effective witness of God's kingdom power. This resource will inspire change in you as you read testimony after testimony of people who use their gospel privilege to bring the kingdom message worldwide. As author David Joannis testifies, gospel privilege is the soul-saving, culture-shaping, world-changing message that's come into the world through the person of Jesus. It is an unearned spiritual advantage with eternal consequences meant for every human being. Buy the book on Amazon or visit gospelprivilege.com to download a free chapter today.
And I like what you said earlier. You could own a business. You can be successful in the States, right? And have but is your life structured around the obedience of the kingdom? Yeah. Right. Is your life structured around like every day, my job, like even if you're a plumber, are you business as mission, right? Are you centered on the kingdom, or is it more of just like I'm building my own kingdom and I'll be a Christian along the way? And that's more of what it is, right?
It's not so much occupational as it is intentional relationship. Like what you're just describing to me is like, I just saw your face light up, by the way, when you talk about this, because you're like, I'm not even doing it. We're empowering indigenous leaders to do it for us. Yeah. But there's an intentionality. It's still relationship. It's still spending time over meals, probably jumping and dancing shrimp in your case. Yeah, boiled spiders.
And all that fun stuff. Yeah, ants.
But it's pushing people towards this identity or purpose or kingdom mindset that I think normal conversations over a meal at Chili's don't really get to.
Yeah, we become so preoccupied with, there's a pastor that my wife and I listen to, Marty Sullivan. He's a Jew and converted, he's a Messianic Jew, and he teaches from a Jewish mindset, right? And he says the whole Bible, the whole calling as a Christian is a struggle between the kingdom of man, the kingdom of empire, or the kingdom of shalom, the kingdom of peace. And I think until a Christian truly steps into that kingdom of peace and shapes their entire life around building the kingdom of God, they're going to be stuck in that in between, right? They're going to be stuck in between building their own kingdom and yet kind of letting the kingdom of peace like influence them rather than fully stepping into it.
And those are small K kingdoms.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And I think that's what, that's what really is kind of going on here. Yes, you might have friendships and relationships and call your buddy not only on Sundays and Wednesdays, you might even call him on Monday or Thursday. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are challenging each other and sharpening one another, moving toward or into deeper that big K kingdom, God's heart. And this is oftentimes what's lacking, I think, in the church. You know what I've noticed lately? It drives me nuts because we're trying to inspire people to come on short-term mission trips with Teen Mania. Yeah. Teen Mania. What in the world? I just went back in time. Ron Luce. That was your shout out, buddy.
20 plus years there, man.
Within Reach Global. Yeah. Forgot the name of my organization. I used to be a call center rep at Teen Mania, and that was my script. Hey, you got to come on it. And so I just reverted back to that. That was really weird. But we're trying to get them on trips within Reach Global here to Thailand or other places. Yeah. And most churches, you go to their websites, they've removed those missions tabs or global outreach. They're all gone. Yeah, I've been trying to connect with churches in LA lately because I'm headed there tomorrow. Okay, and just trying to find who is interested in global outreach or big K. Sometimes what I consider to be big K kingdom stuff, the nations, unreached peoples. You just can't find those tabs. Yeah. You're looking for the mission pastor. They're non-existent. Yeah. So I know I deviated from the discipleship idea, but when the church misunderstands the missio Dei, the mission of God, it's easy to lose sight of the imago Dei, the image of God, which is imprinted on you, made for the missio Dei. We're called to join this celebrative adventure with Jesus, and that is fulfilling the Great Commission,
Yeah.
not drudgery.
Well, they go hand in hand, right?
Yep.
Like the image of God, the mission of God, the call or the Great Commission, right? This wasn't a suggestion by Jesus. It was a command. Go and make disciples. Don't go make converts that sit in a seat and sign a membership to your church. Make disciples, right? And so whether you're a Western church or you're a missionary here, whether you're an organization in the States or even us, right? Like as a growing organization here in Thailand, we have to continue to recenter ourselves. What is our mission? Our mission is to make disciples. I mean, WRG could become the biggest, like foundation in Chiang Mai, right? Like, I mean, we've got stretch marks, dude. We've grown so much in the last 2.5 years, right? But like, we have to keep refocusing. Where is our money? Where is our kingdom minded? Where is, and so every Christian needs to come back to that. What are we doing, right? Where are we focusing our effort? Where are we focusing our calling to go and make disciples? My son, right? He wants to go into the trades. His whole thought is, I want to go start a business. He'll tell you, I want to become a millionaire, but he wants to then support missionaries. Like that's his whole heart is, I want to become a millionaire, have a thriving business so I can be a missionary, so I can support missions. And that's going to be a struggle for him because he has examples of men back home, good friends of mine, who have built thriving businesses. Them and their wives have blood, sweat, and tears into these things. But when they reach that point where they could potentially spend 6 months of the year overseas on the mission field, they could support huge amounts, right? They go golfing instead. They go wine tasting instead. They spend their time and their effort on their own kingdom, their own happiness, their own comfort, where they could take so much of that to pour into the ministry, to pour into kingdom work. And so I'm trying to teach my son that right now. Like I have no doubt that he'll start a business. I have no doubt that he'll thrive in that if he's a hard worker and does the things that I've tried to teach him as he's grown. But then ultimately it's going to come down to him. What kind of kingdom are you building, man? Like, are you building one for yourself or are you building one for God? And you'll be tested in that. You really will, especially once you start making money. It's really going to come down to that. And so I think they can go, like I said, hand in hand, man. Like we're all called to different things. And I praise the Lord for people that support us, that have good businesses back home, that are willing to support us so we can live out here and do the work God's called us to do. But I also think that a lot of them are missing the true, what does it mean to make disciples?
Yeah. And with that comes some sort of purpose and dynamic kind of destiny. Yeah. When you finally feel like I am involved, whether regardless of your occupation, your location, your geography, where you're at, thank God for people, like you said, standing back home, lowering us into the gold mine of souls, but absolutely. Holding the ropes and tugging back and being part of this mission. We're not talking so much like sell everything and move to Thailand, or are we?
They might,
maybe for some people, but not everybody. Certainly not everybody. Yeah. But that intentionality of big K kingdoms, what's God's heart, and we're used to and wired to build our own small K kingdoms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and when we look at like some of our apprentices here right now, they're like, Ben, right? He's running our campus ministry right now. Young man from Canada, hard worker. He did construction for 6-7 years. And he gets a lot of pushback from back home. Like, what are you doing? You're using your savings. And so I'm trying to coach him right now to start preparing for long term, right? Like start building a support team. You're going to have to ask for help, And so I get a young man like him who's 26, I think, and his heart for missions, he feels like God is calling him. He's very, he's totally got the pioneer look in his eye, I'll make the choice and then say sorry later type of thing, but ultimately finding people that are kingdom minded back home that will support him. It's going to be a struggle, especially as a young single man wanting to move to Thailand. And, it's tough. We got Ella here, same thing, right? This young woman moved out here by herself and found WRG and is finding her place in campus ministry. She's going to have to struggle through that. The finding kingdom-minded people back home, finding support, long-term support so she can be a healthy person a healthy worker of Jesus, disciple of Jesus here for a long time.
And all that in this external pressure cooker. I remember there's the story of Jim Elliot. He was martyred for his faith on January 8, 1956. The Ecuador 5 go into the Aka tribe, the Huarani, try to make breakthrough. Instead, they were killed, speared to death for their faith, January 8, 1956. Only a couple weeks later, while all the wives, Elizabeth Elliot and all the others, are sitting there in Ecuador, there comes out a Life magazine article, a 10-page spread. In fact, Jacob Smith got this magazine. I've got it downstairs, the original. Okay. Yeah. And it's a 10-page spread. The title says, "Go ye and preach the gospel, 5 do and die." And one of the main themes in that whole thing was a sad waste of youth. They kept saying a sad waste of youth. Yeah. These young men, what a sad waste of youth. I can only imagine, and I can imagine very easily because I remember this when I was 18, bought a one-way plane ticket to China after faxing Kunming University from Prescott, Arizona.
Faxing. Oh
faxing. Yeah, try to do that. Please. And but feeling these expectations, and even like what we talked about at the beginning, I could be doing something better. And yet God has a unique way of just steering us and guiding us even when we don't know where our next step is going to go. Yeah. And allowing us to go through difficulties and other people's opinions of us. Sad waste of youth, this David Joannis guy in 1998. And maybe they still think that. I don't know.
I don't know. I think the world probably does, honestly. Like, I have family members that think we're colonizers and, we've brainwashed our kids and all this fun stuff, and yet they'll never know. They'll never truly understand the work that's gone into serving Jesus in this way and how not just the sacrifice, but the impact that we're making with people groups here. And we're not colonizing them to be American. We're not colonizing them to be Western. We're colonizing them to know their Savior. Yeah. And they're still Karen, right? They're still Thai. They're still Lahu. They're still these people groups, but we're introducing them to the God that created them. And there's you're right. Like there's such magical. I don't know. Magical is not the right word. What am I thinking? Like
unlocking of destiny? Or
what? There you go. Unlocking of destiny to serve the Lord in this way. And, I would tell any young person that listens to this, any high school or college kid, it's like, come out here on an internship, live in Chiang Mai for 3 months, just taste it, just see what God is doing. You can taste spiders too if you want, and like other things, but like just taste and see what Jesus is doing here, and then let God move you. It may not be a yes right now. Look at my daughter. It's like she's 18. She is so driven to be a missionary. But it's like teaching her that we're here because of 18 plus years of healthy ministry. So people could support us. So I could move a family of 4 to Thailand from California on a youth pastor salary, right? But it's like teaching her take what God has shown you, take what he's taught you. He's not an Indian giver. He's not going to take it away. Go and learn, go grow, go mature, get some life experience, and wait for the yes, right? Wait for God to open that door fully for you to step into his plan for you, that destiny he has for you. I don't know when that is, right? And she doesn't know when that is. But ultimately, God, if he's implanted a seed in you, if he's given you gifts that benefit the kingdom of God on the mission field, he's not going to take those away. Now it's just up for you to keep saying yes to him, to the point where he says, okay, now go and move. It's like, yeah, our journey was different. It's not atypical. Your journey was not atypical, right? Like moving here by yourself at 18. I don't know. I don't know any mom that would do that now, right?
I don't know what my parents were thinking. I went to Russia at age 15.
Yeah. I was 16 when I went to Ukraine. Yeah. There's no cell phone. There were no cell phones.
No.
I can't even on a map now show you where I was at completely.
Because
we flew into Kiev, right?
Yeah.
And then took a 6-hour bus ride somewhere. I don't know where the heck that was. And my parents had no idea how we were getting shook down by mafia cops and drunk guys get in my face every day. I was 16, man. But I don't know. The Lord, he kept saying, will you partner with me? And he's always looking for partners. Yeah. That's how awesome God is, right? And I just kept saying yes. And you kept saying yes. And, he'll keep moving.
I feel like this whole conversation is really about the grand design. It's the grand adventure. Jesus is going. God has been doing it since the very inception. In Genesis, we see its culmination in Revelation with all the nations surrounding the throne of God. It's an ongoing mission to redeem, restore, and return all things to the right place of how it's supposed to be at the very beginning. And he's just constantly saying, I'm going. Will you come?
Yeah.
And when you think of it like that, it kind of strips away all that exotic allure you talked about, foreign mission field.
Yeah.
And just succession of small, willful steps saying yes to God.
Saying yes. That's all it is. I mean, God, you look at the patriarchs, look at the disciples, there was nothing special about them, right? Those men were fishing because they didn't pass the Jewish school, basically, right?
Yeah.
They weren't good enough to become a Pharisee. And so they were fishing, right? It's like they go to Jewish school and they're a little boy. If they don't score high enough, all right, go back to fishing or carpentry or whatever your dad does, right? The boys like Paul that were significantly better, they became Pharisees and Sadducees. So like ultimately, like they were nothing special. The patriarchs were nothing special. They acknowledged God, that he is King of Kings and Lord of Lords and God above all their gods. They had faith that if God said to do it, that he would do it. And they had the chutzpah to trust him and to say yes, right? They had the guts to do it. And that's all God is looking for. Men and women who will partner with him and say yes to his call. And it's a tough one. It's not easy. It takes sacrifice. It takes forsaking a lot of, in the Western mindset, what we call comfort. But I would do it all again in a heartbeat. And I don't know. I just couldn't, I couldn't quantify what God has done in my family and in me, in us moving here. The ministry is like icing on the cake compared to that, but God is faithful in both of those. So.
I am glad you said yes.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for that. I'm so thrilled to be able to work together with you.
Yeah, amen.
And push the kingdom forward into places where it hasn't gone before or hasn't taken root since Jesus has walked on this earth.
Yeah. Amen.
Thank you for saying yes, my brother.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
You didn't know us really.
And we're still growing in our relationship.
You
but
let these tattooed Californians into your organization.
I thought you were a barista from California.
Yeah. I might fit that. Yeah. Erica fits that way more than I do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you for saying yes, though.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say I work together with you on the mission field, my brother.
Amen, David.
All right,
Thanks, man.
Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join his mission. This podcast is powered by Within Reach Global. Subscribe, watch, and listen on YouTube today. Visit missionspulse.com.